Welcome to Daily Magic, a cozy corner of the world where you're invited to rediscover and experience the abundant magic that dances through your life. This podcast is slow living wrapped in sparkles, self-love woven with inspiration, and mindfulness dipped in wonder. So brew up a cup of tea in your favorite mug, settle into your comfiest chair, and join me, Shaina Wexler, as we allow ourselves this respite to romanticize our lives and revel in daily magic. Hello, my beautiful friend. I'm so happy that you are here and that we get to spend this precious time together. I want to thank you so much for your patience with me, for having not created an episode last week, which would have been on our normal schedule. Quite frankly, I just didn't have it in me. The last couple of weeks have been really difficult for me and my mental health. And it's actually that really challenging space that I have been going through that created the inspiration for this particular episode today, the magic of anticipation. And when I am feeling whimsical, like in this moment when I am recording this episode for you, this episode would be titled exactly as it is, The Magic of Anticipation. And at lower points, I'd be inclined to name this exact same episode The Magic of Having Something to Look Forward to. But the first one rolls off the tongue more easily. It sounds a little bit more magical. So that is the one that I went with. So in this episode, we are going to start off a little bit scientific, and then we're going to merge our way into a cozy and snuggly, gleeful, participatory anticipation part of our episode, okay? So when I'm in these spaces, like the one I've been working with in these past couple of weeks, when I'm triggered into these really rough mental spaces, it is really easy for the scope of my world, the scope of the world, to really narrow dramatically for me and to become hyper fixated on whatever issue is causing me to feel fearful or panicked. And this is something I mentioned to you in my episode, The Magic of Not Being Okay. But that mental narrowing that occurs in those moments, that narrowing, that is not our fault. It's actually an evolutionary neurological response. It's our sympathetic system, that fight or flight zone, being activated, which is designed to keep us safe, right? And it triggers that part of our brain, the amygdala, to become hyper-focused on that perceived danger before us, right? What our brain is perceiving as dangerous. And as a response, it releases this dump of stress chemicals into our bodies in order to give us this singular purpose of fleeing from that danger to save our lives, right? That adrenaline and that stress, that cortisol that comes rushing into our body, it is meant to make us focus only on the danger to get the heck out of there to survive. And in the face of real, true, like life, death, danger, this response it's wonderful. It's life-saving. It's important that it exists. The problem, though, happens when, because of trauma or a myriad of things, that fight or flight system doesn't shut off or is overly active and starts believing that all manner of things happening in our lives are actually catastrophic. And a prolonged active state of fight or flight is not at all what that system was designed for at all, right? The sympathetic system, it was designed for that rush of adrenaline so that a mother could flip a car, save their kid from underneath it. It's meant to be kind of momentary in that way, to save us from that saber-toothed tiger that comes into our camp when we were Neanderthals or whatever the case may be. It is not designed to be prolonged in that way. And during a fight or flight response, when we flip to that part of the brain, that amygdala part of the brain, one of the things that also happens is that our prefrontal cortex, the piece of the brain that is the center for our rational thinking and our solution-based thinking and our decision-making, that prefrontal cortex, the activity in that area decreases significantly when we're in fight or flight, which means that when we are living in these really prolonged states of fight or flight responses, it means that that really narrowed, fearful way of thinking also is becoming the norm for us as well. That is what our systems are becoming used to. They're habituating to that piece. And to me, that's the piece that's really worrisome, because when we're in that state, it keeps us from being able to see the bigger picture, to be able to zoom out, to find some creative solutions to whatever that problem may seem to be, whatever that quote danger might feel like it is. And quite fundamentally, it inhibits us from seeing and experiencing the joyful, simple moments of beauty around us, and inhibits us from living with hope that there will be future joyful moments for us. And for me, that's just entirely unacceptable. As I've spoken about so many times, inspiration and our daily joys, like that's a quality of life issue. So as I've found myself stuck in that really narrowed, fearful space where everything feels really impossible and defeating and very bleak. First, my first course of action is and has been to use all of the tools in my toolkit to shift into my parasympathetic space. And we've talked about this in some previous episodes, and we've done some breathwork for this in the past. But that's where I go first, is to use the tools to be able to shift into that parasympathetic, calmed, relaxed space within my body. So for me, I use specialized breath work and bilateral movement and rebooting the vagus nerve and some really deep stretches. And all of that has been great. And it's certainly been helpful. Like it absolutely has. And that's kind of my first course of action, right? But what I found is that even after I was able to switch off my fight or flight, I was still really lacking that sense of sparkle, which is so important for a life well lived and really important to how I desire to move through this world. And so that is when I remembered the very special, very powerful magic of anticipation, the magic of having something to look forward to. On the scientific level of this particular type of magic, it's really fascinating because when we begin to make plans for something that seems fun or exciting, when we start looking forward to something that we deem will be pleasurable for us, right? Our brain releases dopamine and serotonin, which of course we know are the happy, feel-good hormones that we experience. And as we continue to look forward to something and start to imagine the sensory details of how it will feel and what it will be like, right? We experience even more and more releases of these feel-good hormones. And it's really cool and really interesting because studies have actually shown that the happiness high that we experience while we are planning and anticipating a vacation or a party or an event or even a meal is equal and sometimes even stronger than what we experience while we're actually on the vacation or at that party. Isn't that amazing? Simply anticipating good, exciting, and pleasurable things gives us the emotional payoff in our body as though we have lived them. Isn't that isn't that amazing? That simply planning a vacation is actually as good for your body as going on vacation? Like that is magical, right? So, whether you're feeling great or whether you are feeling low, the magic of anticipation can be an incredible boost and a potent way to experience the magic of life around you and a way to just feel really good. But I hear you. If you are in that latter category of someone who is currently feeling low, it might feel like a bit of a catch-22 to hear all of this information because when we're feeling stuck or burned out or fearful or sorrowful, even just trying to muster a concept of what there could even be in the world worth looking forward to, that can feel like a massive feat of its own. And that, my beautiful friend, is why I decided that for this episode, we're going to figure this out together. You can lean on me and take my lead, and with our powers combined, we shall summon the magic of anticipation with a fun and cozy activity. For me, over these past couple of weeks, I've been finding that the more wholesome and childlike I can get myself to think, the easier it is for me to come up with ideas that build that sense of anticipation. So I'd love for us to approach this as a game, as a craft project. So I invite you to take a pause here just for a minute to round up a few things so that we can join into this magical craft project together, okay? To participate together in this craft, you will need one piece of paper, lined or unlined, for us to use for the ideation portion of this, and then a few more pieces of paper. And for these, I recommend construction paper or some sort of colorful or patterned paper if you have it. But if not, any old paper will be fine. I'm just using some sheets of blank paper torn out of my journal for this because that's what I have at the moment. You'll also need some scissors and something to adhere this project together. So some glue or tape or a stapler. And then some markers or crayons or a pen if you don't have anything more fun. And the final element that you will need for this project is a cup of hot chocolate or tea or coffee or chai, something comforting to sip on while we play, okay? So while you gather and prepare all of that, there is actually something that I want to run by you. See how you feel about it. It's something I've been thinking about for a really, really long time. Probably since like the third or fourth episode of Daily Magic, I've had this on my mind, but it just didn't seem like it was quite the right time. And I'm wondering if we're getting closer to it being the right time. There was so much transition in my life, and it was just something I really wanted to be able to give my full attention to. But now more and more, I just keep getting more ideas about it. I'm getting more excited. The anticipation is growing. And it was like, okay, maybe it's time to just ask my beautiful friend their thoughts, see what they think, and go from there. So, okay, I was thinking about the possibility of creating a Patreon. And there are so many things that I have on my mind about how I would love to connect with you and build out the Daily Magic community through the Patreon. So obviously, since episode 1, obviously I've already had in mind the merch that I want to make and I want to share with you, the Be the Magic mugs, the Hello My Beautiful Friend teacups, the very obvious pieces there that I have been looking forward to designing and creating for this community. But I was also thinking that it'd be so fun for Patreon members if we do like a monthly tea party, virtual tea party together. And I was thinking that kind of also in the spirit of the episode that I recently created, The Magic of Inventing Holidays, that for each of the months and for each of our virtual tea parties, that I could theme our tea party and I could write to you and I could let you know what the theme was going to be and give some suggestions of maybe the types of tea that would go well with that, maybe the type of outfit that we would all wear for that, maybe create some recipes for little snacks that we could have. And so we could all be kind of having a similar type of tea party together virtually. And then I was thinking on the tea party, obviously it's something that we could do. We can connect, but I also thought that it would be a great opportunity to be able to take Patreon members like through breathwork together. I was also thinking it might be fun to do some like little activities together, perhaps create some food or some sort of recipe or some sort of meal together in kind of cooking show fashion, but all together. Just the kinds of cozy, wonderful things that I love to speak about and I love to share about in the episodes, to be able to actually bring those to life together. I thought that would be very, very fun. Then I was also thinking that there would be a level of a Patreon member where I would be able to send like handwritten letters every month and maybe like a cute little personalized care package for each person. My thoughts, like I have so many thoughts about this. Also, there is so much behind the scenes that goes into every episode that I create for Daily Magic that I would really love to share with you as well. So I was thinking it might be really neat to also create some video logs, some vlogs, if you will, as the kids say. I don't know. Anyways, just kind of explaining where my inspirations were coming from and talking you through that process. I also thought it'd be really wonderful to create some journal prompts based off of each episode. So after you listen to each episode of Daily Magic, you could have some journal prompts to help you go even more into your own heart and emotions and mental state and see how that episode can really apply to you and your life and taking steps and in actionable ways as well. So again, there's just a billion things that I've had on my mind that I just thought would be so fun to create and share with you. And so I genuinely want to hear your thoughts and opinions on this, my beautiful friend. Is it time for a Patreon? Are you interested in being a Patreon member? I would really love to actually just hear from you. So if you would please let me know what you think about it in the comments below, whether that's on Spotify, whether that's on YouTube, or if you want to reach out to me directly at shainawexler@gmail.com or send me a DM over on Instagram, Shaina Wexler. I would love, love, love to hear your thoughts on this and just know if you guys feel like it's time and if you feel like you're into it. Let me know. Look forward to hearing from you. And yeah, I really appreciate your thoughts. Okay, so now that you're set, let's bring all of our supplies to a comfy, cozy part of our home. So maybe it's your desk or kitchen table or coffee table, or even the living room floor where you can really just sprawl right out, okay? Find your spot and let's get creating. So what are we doing? We are creating old school, festive, countdown paper chains. And we're going to make these paper chains with various rewards and events and experiences woven through them. And I promise you this is going to be fun. So let's let go a bit and let's become kids again while we're making these. First things first, we have to brainstorm together what our rewards / anticipatory events are going to be. And as we get our ideas flowing and start coming up with these ideas, we can also decide how many rewards or events or experiences we want to include on our paper chain for ourselves, right? And that's going to be personal to each of us of how many we decide we want to include on that. So what should we look forward to? What should we create to start counting down to? I feel like the key here is to start with ideas of things that we already know that we enjoy. And then begin to romanticize those things a bit by adding in some fun and whimsical details, right? So, for example, the base idea could be a new restaurant, right? Is there a new restaurant that you've been interested in trying that you could plan a solo date to? And then we find ways to make that even more romanticized and even more fun. So, like for that particular solo date outing to this brand new restaurant, you could wear a new outfit that you've never worn, or style your hair in a new way, or maybe instead of driving yourself, you have an Uber pick you up, or you have Instacart deliver your favorite flowers to your door, or something like that, right? Where you're really just kind of taking an experience that would be inherently fun and then just really elevating it to a point where it's like, oh, that's something special. That's something a little extra. That's kind of what we're going for here, right? So is there a movie coming out in the next month or two that you are already feeling excited to see? And how do we enhance that? Can you choose 5 of your favorite childhood candies or snacks and get all of them and get an overly large tub of popcorn and bring your favorite plush character slippers to the theater to change into while you're there? What are some other base ideas that we can build off of, that we can build around? Is there a trip that you've been wanting to take, or a friend you've been wanting to go visit? What about a little road trip to a nearby city and an Airbnb stay? These are some of the ideas that are kind of first coming to my mind, and I definitely acknowledge that those first ideas are ones that really would apply to those of you who are currently experiencing some financially good times, right? But if financial resources aren't immediately available to you at this moment in your life, please don't despair, because there are a lot of creative and potentially even more fun things that we can do to create a day or an experience to look forward to. Perhaps you have $10 per week that you feel comfortable allotting to yourself, for yourself. And in that case, you could take some time to research all of the cozy coffee houses in your town and maybe the next town over. And each week you could go to a different one and try each place's specialty beverage, right? Use your $10 to try their specialty beverage, and you can bring your own snacks from home. And on the way there, you can swing by your local library and find an enticing book that you feel kind of coordinates with the occasion or that particular cafe. Or maybe with those same $10 per week, you can build even more anticipation by, instead of using $10 every week, maybe you could save each of those $10 up till the end of the month, and then use all 40 to take yourself out to eat, or throw a pizza party for a couple of your closest friends and watch a lineup of each of your favorite movies together while you're wearing PJs, because you have to have to wear a themed outfit. You know how important this is to me. What about checking to see if you happen to have any gift cards that have unused balances on them that you haven't fully used, and you can create an event around that, right? That's something that I actually did this past week. I realized that I had $8 on a gift card to my favorite coffee shop. It's something that I received as a birthday gift. Thank you, Karen. So I decided to wait a few days in order to have something to look forward to. And then for the occasion, I put on a summer dress and I tried some new makeup and I got my pup suited up and we headed out to my favorite little spot. And with my $8 gift card, I ordered a hot chai, and with that warm cup in my hands, Etoile and I went on this lovely meandering walk through the really picturesque neighborhoods that are located nearby. And while we were walking, it started sprinkling rain, which, of course, If you've listened to The Magic of Rain, you know that rain is my absolute favorite. And though I can't take too much credit for the aspect of the rain showing up for my experience, I was able to create a magical evening for myself and for my pup, which was very, very worth anticipating. Another great way to tap into the magic of anticipation is to invoke the magic of inventing holidays, like we discussed in our most recent episode, in order to actually create something to look forward to take something out of thin air and create it into a holiday that is worthy of anticipation. As we discussed in that episode, you can invent a holiday that centers around nearly anything. But I feel like a really fun one that we could do, that we could add to our paper chain, would be to make a big celebration for the first day of autumn. And we could do all kinds of, again, just little things that don't require a whole bunch of finances, but just romanticize the day a little bit, right? On your computer or your TV screen, you could turn on one of those ASMR rooms that has just a fake fireplace going and have a crackling fireplace on your TV. You can create a simmer pot for yourself. And I don't know if you know what a simmer pot is, so I'll briefly explain it, but it's fantastic and I love it. And it just really helps me get into a cozy spirit, regardless of what the day holds for me. Basically, you just take a pot of water and you put it on your stove and you put some elements into it that when it comes to a boil, you can just bring it down to a gentle simmer. Thus, the reason it's called a simmer pot, that will create a lovely aroma. So for our autumn one, we could fill the pot with water, and then we could put some cinnamon sticks in there and some cloves. We could cut up little pieces of apple or even put pine needles in there to get that lovely aroma into the home as well. You could put cranberries, you can do lavender, you can do any spices, anything that smells like food. You can put cocoa powder, but you basically just simmer that and it creates this amazing aroma in the home, and it smells like something is baking in the oven, and it just creates such an amazing environment in your home. And as I mentioned, we all know all about the themed outfits for our invented holidays. So for this big autumn celebration, you could wear your favorite chunky sweater or scarf. And if your climate is still hot during this time of year, you can always do what I did when I lived in New York City and just crank up your AC and still wear a sweater or a flannel anyways. When I lived in New York City, it was like the hottest summers I'd ever experienced in my entire life, but I refused to give up drinking my cup of hot Darjeeling each day. I refused to lose that one special comfort. So I would literally sit in front of my air conditioning unit and just have it blasting on me while I sipped my my hot tea. And some people, you'd be like, why didn't you just do iced tea? But what? Who are you? No, you don't understand. You just don't get me. Okay, so back to our autumn holiday. For this holiday, we can also create a playlist of our favorite seasonal movies or TV shows, like have a full day marathon of Gilmore Girls, or watch something really wholesome but a little spooky like Casper or something of the sort, right? To kind of put you into the autumn type of a mood. You can go on a walk where you collect some of the first fallen leaves of the season and press them into a book. You can make a homemade soup and serve it in a really oversized mug, right? Hopefully by now, as you're hearing me riff all of these things in which we could create a holiday and something to anticipate, hopefully by now you are starting to percolate over some ideas that are really tailored to you and to your unique interests. And if so, if you are, you're already beginning to experience the magic of anticipation in the way that you can hear that I am as well. Are you feeling the dopamine? I'm feeling the dopamine. So now that serotonin is flowing, now it's time to decide how many rewards and how long of a chain you want to create for yourself. Maybe in this moment, you are in an emotional and mental space where getting through each day is feeling like a bit of a challenge, is feeling rough, right? So maybe in that case, you make a chain to be a week long with little rewards each day and one large treat at the end of the week, right? Giving yourself something to look forward to each and every single day. And then each day, you'll rip off a link of your chain and you'll reward yourself with the experience that's written on that chain link. And you'll also take the moment to look ahead at what's coming up for the next day's link and the next day and the next, and start building in that anticipation. Or maybe by now you are feeling really good and you have decided to make a big, long chain for the length of the whole month. And maybe you are going to place rewards at the end of each week, with then a big, huge just event at the end of the month. However long you want to make your chain, with however many fun experiences and rewards, this is fully up to you. So now is the really fun part. We get to assemble this. So here we go. With your colored paper, I want you to cut strips, probably about 1.5 inches or a little under 4 centimeters tall. And I want you to begin by writing one of your anticipatory events or gifts to yourself on each one of these colorful strips. So these first strips that we're making are our reward ones, okay? So on each of those, after you've determined how many rewards you want for yourself, I want you to start writing those rewards, one on each strip of paper that you have cut. And after you've written those down, I highly recommend decorating those reward strips with markers and stickers and rubber stamps. Like, let's make these links extra fun and sparkly, okay? And on the strips of paper that are going to be links for the days that are not reward days, you can either leave them blank or you can write the day numbers on them as you count down, or you can make them colorful and fun as well. Like, it's totally up to you. They can be just as fun as your reward day ones. Fully up to you, right? Be a kid, let yourself free, enjoy this. And once you've created strips of paper for the week, the month, the 2 months, the 6 months, however long of a duration you've determined, you can begin constructing your paper chain by creating a loop out of your first strip. And then you're going to seal the end of that loop with glue or tape or staples. And then you're going to take your next strip of paper and you're going to loop it into that first loop, and then seal that, and then so on and so forth and so forth and so forth. And the assembly of the chains can be really relaxing, actually. So I invite you to turn on some nostalgic music or a favorite show in the background while you do this activity. Because see, we can even romanticize making a paper chain, right? Of course we can. Of course we can. When you are finished creating this chain, what I want you to do is string this bad boy up somewhere prominent. Don't hide it. I want you to put it somewhere prominent in your home space. And each day when you wake up, I want you to skip your way over to your glorious, colorful, magical paper chain, rip off the link for the day, count down how many days are left until your next reward, and take a moment to imagine how fun it's going to be, how wonderful it's going to feel, and feel the magic of anticipation as it blooms within you. You know I need to see photos of your paper chains and that I really want to hear about all of the romanticized reward experiences that you have dreamed up for yourself. I would love to hear your thoughts about my Patreon ideas. And in the meantime, I love you, my friend. Hang in there. Be blessed, be light, and be the magic.